Yeah.
My favorite apps as a mother, as an entrepreneur,
Entrepreneur.
uh, entrepreneur. So a couple of them I do love. One thing I'm gonna say for all families, and especially families like we obviously have a nanny or a auntie that live with that lives with us. I have a wonderful app called, and I'll put it up on the screen, Family Wall.
Okay, I'm gonna
So
download it
this
like
app
right now.
connects,
Family wall.
yeah, this ca- this app connects all of us together, all the adults in the family, and it has lists. So list of things that you need to do. But the most important one is the shopping list
Yeah.
right there. So everyone adds what they need on the shopping list, and you just tick them off every time you go for a shop. So anyone has access to this. So anytime someone's going to just run up the shops, if there's anything on the list, they go and grab it. We've made additional lists on there, which you can do. So there's a to-do list. So I don't know how everyone else feels about their husbands when you ask them to do something, and you ask them to do something, and then you ask them to do something, and then you ask them to do the exact same fucking thing because no one listens to you. This is the new favorite thing that I have
I love it.
because I put it on his to-do list, and unless he's ticked it off, I know he hasn't done
Yeah.
it. Or the continual asking, have you done this, have you done this, have you done this, have you done this. This has been a big winner in my relationship and also in our family because I'm so sick of asking the same questions over again.
Yes.
I will admit that I have to continuously kind of prod the other two in the house to put their stuff on the board,
Yeah.
but we are getting better at it and we're relying on it a little bit
Very
more.
good.
So that the to-do list is the major one for me. You do have access to a budget map, so it actually gives you all the addresses of everyone. You can
Mm.
also track people on it if you want to know where everyone is. My kids are too young for phones, so that's not neither here nor there. There's documents, so you can upload birth certificates,
Wow.
passport numbers. In Hong Kong, we've got Hong Kong IDs and also passports. We need quite, birth certificates that we need quite frequently with the kids.
Mm.
So we have that there, so you can just access it really quickly. You can obviously put your medical cards. Again, this is more of a Hong Kong based thing. You have a meal planner. So you can actually plan all your meals for each day of the week, and your shopping list will import into your meal planner. And you can go into a website, pick out the website URL, pop it in there, and it will take all the instructions and all the
Fuck
ingredients out
off.
and pop it
Really?
in the app. This was the
Oh
best thing
my
ever. It
goodness.
was
I
so good.
swear to God has been the worst thing. Every time I want to cook a meal based on
Trying to get it all
some
down.
some recipe, and then I'm like, "Oh, let me just go and convert
Type it all out.
freaking ounces into cups or whatever." And then it leaves the page. I know I don't know, it must be Samsung or something, but I can't find it again and I have to go and Google search it all over again. I swear to God, it peeves me to no
Yeah.
end. So if that does
And
that
you're
for
just
me,
like, I don't want to do it
you've
anymore.
got me. You've got me.
Yeah. It basically there's a little recipe thing. See, I don't know if you can see mine, and you add here, and it says you either add it manually or you add from a website recipe, and you add that one. You just click on put the URL and it adds it in
Oh,
for you,
fuck yes. I love
including,
this.
and then you can add all the ingredients to your shopping list with one click of a button.
You may have just
Amazing.
changed my life.
I'm look. I've done that so many times to you these days. I mean, it's not a surprise. And then timetable is a good one. I don't need it so much right now, but timetable I think would be a good one for parents, maybe even separated parents, or even
Yeah,
people that
co-parenting
have
would be good for that.
multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know where your kid isn't from a scheduling perspective all the
Yeah.
time, and then messages. Messages we don't use, but it's there
Yeah.
if we ever need it. You can also upload photos and do a bunch of other things, but they're it's just been so it's a paid app. I can't remember how much I paid for it, if I'm honest. I bought the 12-month package, but it's been an absolute must
Love it.
um,
Fuck, I'll pay
in our
$12
family. So
for it.
that's the first, mate. For something like that, it was a really big win.
Hmm.
Um, the next app you and I have talked about, which is
Yeah.
Huckleberry.
I still have it.
You've downloaded it now.
I've had it since
Oh, you've
Remy.
yeah.
It was I was I think this is a first time mother thing where you obsess about
I did it for the first time. Did
you
not
had
care
to
about
because
the
you're
second
like
child. Not gonna
you
lie.
hear all this information about wake windows, feeding times,
Oh yeah.
feeding lengths. like how much time you're actually
Yeah.
feeding on either boob,
When they
when
poop,
they poop, what
when they
color the
pee.
poop, if they get sick, what type of medication, how much you've given them, what's the time in between medication, because, you know, mommy brain, you forget. It was such a good
Yep.
one. And also tracking sleep. And so, and
Yeah.
also weight and stuff like that. So you,
I became obsessed with that though. I
I downloaded the
was like,
analytics
she's
for it
only getting
after
nine and a half
18
hours.
months.
Fuck.
And I was like, holy
Mm.
crap. It told me how many hours I breastfed. And it was like mind
Was it
blowing the
forever?
amount of hours I
Yeah.
sat there breastfeeding.
I'm
Shocking.
pumped.
Absolutely shocking. If they could convert
I
that
only learned
into amount of
today.
calories used to make that breast
Oh
milk to
mate.
feed, could you imagine? And then convert that
Oh
into
my
like
god.
how much money was spent to give me the calories. Because they say breastfeeding is free. Well, it's not really, because you got to eat to make the
Nope.
calories. And something like it
Mm.
uses like 80% of this amount of like energy and calories that your brain capacity uses in the
Mm.
entire day. So it's like an immense amount
30%.
of stuff. Yeah.
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 Huge. I posted about it the other day. I also learned yesterday that breast milk is made out of the lady's blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I mean, it makes sense because your body's got to use
Well,
what it's got. But
it's
yeah.
a method of transportation, isn't it? Blood.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
blew my mind.
yeah. So I will definitely be using
The
Huckleberry for the
huckle.
next one, but I won't be as obsessive.
No, I was gonna say I was super obsessed at the beginning. I plugged Huxley stuff in. Obviously, he came to us at 18 months. Um, Not gonna lie, did not look at it again. Probably 3 weeks
No,
later,
you
haven't
forget
looked at
about
it
it
since.
eventually.
I think, yeah, I think it's a first child definite, but just don't become obsessed because I definitely did
Yeah,
become
but
obsessed
I will
with
say that
wake
looking
windows and
back at the
stuff.
information, like it's
Interesting.
very interesting, and it gives you like a lot of
Mm.
satisfaction in seeing the progress and like how much dedication
Mm.
was put into it. It makes you feel good as a parent. And I will say that the only
Yeah.
good thing I would use it for is the medication part, because I'm a stickler
Yeah.
for. I've had people come into the pharmacy and go, like, you can't overdose from paracetamol. I was like, yes, you fucking can. And a lot of people do. And it's the one, like, one
Mm.
of the worst reasons that people come into in terms of overdose is actually paracetamol, because they think exactly like you do. And so for me, like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
minimum 4 hours between each dose of paracetamol, I am absolutely a stickler for. And so
Religious.
I will not
Yeah.
budge on that. And so that for that one, I would say Huckleberry. And I think Huckleberry was free as well. Maybe it was like a one-time purchase. I can't remember. But definitely use that,
I can't remember
because
any of that. We probably should have worked that
yeah,
out
mama brain,
beforehand.
you will forget what time
Uh
you gave the medication.
yeah, that's a good point. With baby brain, with no sleep, having that access to that record was really important. The same with me. Um, the pooping and peeing and all that kind of stuff, we can't that tapered off pretty
Yeah, I
quickly.
didn't bother with
But the medication, sleep,
that.
huh? Yeah, that was pretty important. Also, we now just send each other WhatsApps at what time we gave medication, which is probably not great, but that's our little hack for it. My next one is going to be controversial for the pure fact of some people don't like giving their kids access to devices. Look, if I could live in that world, what a joy that not giving my child a device. And look, all the power to the people
Yeah.
that do it. I'm pretty sure your children are going to grow up better than mine. Sure, that's fine. I can accept it for the 10 minutes of peace that I get at dinner. But what I will say is that one app I've really enjoyed seeing them play, and also think it's maybe a little bit better than just watching TV, is Kiki World.
Mm.
Again, I'll pop it up
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
on the
I've
screen.
debated. I think it's a paid app though. I think that's what stopped me. And I was like,
That is a paid app.
yeah.
It is a paid app, but what I will say, what they're learning on it is incredibly impressive.
Mm.
So one of the parts of the app that I really like is right now Evie's tracing letters on the
Ooh.
iPad. Yeah, not something I thought about like previously.
Mm.
And so she can actually trace a lot of the letters through, and it's like a little spaceship, and it's got to eat all the
Mm.
little
Oh,
planets and stuff.
cute.
So it's
Yeah.
interactive, but she is learning to kind of write. The other thing I did think to myself was, devices are going to be part of
Mm.
their lives. I don't think that's, you know, anything that's a mystery to anyone, that they're going to be living through their devices. So how to use a device, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing to
I
learn.
will say,
Are
I
they
will
too
say my
young?
only thing
Probably.
about devices, sorry, I'm cutting you off. The only thing I will say about
No, 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 it's good.
devices is I feel this stance about like alcohol and
Mm,
drugs is no longer. I used to feel this way about drugs as well in terms of like education, something that Zach used to talk to me. Well, we would have conversations about how we would educate our children. I'm French. We had
on drugs.
cider very young with dinner, and we had
Mm,
wine very
16.
young with dinner, and it wasn't for getting drunk. It was purely as a pairing with the meal that you
Enjoyment.
had. It's a
Mm,
cultural thing, and I am
mm-hmm,
very my opinion is that it's very important to introduce these things in small doses and give them the association that it's meant to have. I'm not giving you cider so you can
mm.
get like absolutely plastered at 12 years old and have to crawl to bed. I'm giving it to you
I
for
was
you
going to
to
say, I'm not
associate it with the food
probably having that.
and things like that. And I think that
Yeah.
it's the same with technology is like
Devices.
if you're not
Mm,
allowed to drink alcohol until you're 18, you're going to go and get absolutely smashed on shots of tequila with your friends in a club where I'm not there to
agreed.
supervise. And same with technology,
Mm-hmm.
like you're going to become addicted like overnight because you're like, holy crap, I've had this has been a possibility my whole
This is
life,
the
like
most
let me
amazing
just
thing
like
ever.
absorb
Mm,
everything that I've been missing out for the past 6 years, you know what I mean? So I
yeah.
completely agree with you
Yeah.
on the whole, like, do it supervised, do it well, and just bring good associations with it, like a bit of education and stuff like that.
With it. Yeah. No, and 100%. I mean, I feel like you're advocating for me to let my 3-year-old drink. I mean, I feel like that's
Not
just
at that
parenting
age. It
advice I've
comes
just
later,
taken
like at
from
least
that.
double digits, you know what I mean?
I'm just going to take it as you agree that my child should have a little bit of wine every night. And you know what? That could make her sleep.
Is
Um,
that what happened last night?
but yes, my. What Sarah is referring to is my daughter, for the first time, slept through the
I
entire
feel like
night.
that
It's
should have
never
been your
happened
parenting
before.
win because she is three and
I
a
know,
half.
but I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did. There was no parenting involved in that. She just slept all the way through for the first time ever.
It's just a win. It's
Whoa.
just a win.
It's just a win, just a general win. Um, yeah, so no, I agree with that because I am of the same thought. I remember there was kids at my high school that their parents were so strict. They were the craziest out of all of
Mm.
us. Like those motherfuckers were wild when it came down to what they were doing on a random
I feel like
Wednesday
split
with their
personality
parents.
because they would have one personality for
Oh,
home and
majorly.
then one personality to like let loose outside of home, you know?
Yeah. They, I remember, I won't say her name, but there was a girl, and I think a lot of my friends will know who I'm referring to. And I remember she called me up on a Wednesday and she was just like, I'm so drunk. And I'm like, mate, it's a Wednesday. And I think we were 16 at the time. And she'd like made herself cocktails and she invited random strangers over. Like it got so out of hand. But her parents were so strict. So strict. To the point she snuck out a lot. So my parents were not strict. And what I found, and I say that as the nicest possible thing, because not strict and also don't give a shit at what you do is two very different ways of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
But I was the youngest, and also, um, I don't know, there was a lot going on, and so my personal and my social life probably wasn't top of mind in terms of my parents' situation. But I just did. I got to admit, I did a lot of things early,
Mm.
but then got bored of them by
Yeah, I'm
18
the same.
and got, well, I've done everything
Mm.
now, and then I became relatively responsible. Probably
Yeah.
not fully responsible, but relatively
Yeah,
responsible
I was
from
the
that point
exact
onwards.
same. I'm definitely of the opinion of get
Mm,
it done early, get it out of your system. You're going to realize it's not all it's cracked up to be, and then you can finally move on
no,
with being slightly more responsible and successful in your life because you haven't
yeah,
missed
yeah,
out on anything.
and no, and I think the freedom also allows you to make mistakes, but still feel you're able to admit those mistakes. I'm a pretty open, honest person. Again, I don't know if it's personality or how I was brought up, but in terms of telling my parents when I fucked up, 100% did all the
Mm.
time. To the point of their uncomfortability, realistically, at this point. Like, they were like, too much information, don't want to know this. Um, I got found out very early on when I was 16 that I had a tongue ring, that I had a tattoo, that I was drunk. The particular night I'm talking about was my sister's 21st. No, sorry, my brother's 21st. That I was no longer a virgin. And what was the last thing? Oh, that I smoked. So all those five things came out in one night to my parents. From that point onwards, I couldn't do anything that would like cause any kind of surprise or any shock. My mum didn't talk to me for about 3 months. Um, the thing that bummed her out, I think, the most though, was that I didn't tell her that I wasn't a virgin anymore.
Mm.
That I'd actually told my stepmom. So that was a bit of a dicey
Yeah.
situation at the time. And that I think that upset her a lot. And to be honest, now having my own daughter, I would be devastated if she didn't feel like she could
Yeah.
tell me something like that. And to be honest, there was no thought process in my head about telling one person or another over anything in that regard. I wasn't really ashamed of it. I wasn't worried about it. I just hadn't done it. I was going through my teenage years. I wasn't talking to any of the adults in my life realistically. But that all came out in one go. And then I still remember to this day, I'll never forget, the restaurant's called Sugar Art. It was in Templestowe. Mum and I had to meet there. I think it was like maybe the next weekend or something because I was staying at my dad's house. And we sat down and had a very serious conversation about, all the things that had come out and everything. And I
So
was
you
just
weren't
like,
even
oh,
drunk when you
it was
told her all of
awful.
this?
No, she found out that night. I was drunk that
Ah.
night, the night on my brother's 21st. And then she found it all out that night. And I was too drunk to have any conversation with anyone. Pretty sure I got high that night as well. Let's not go there. That was a bad night all around for a lot of different
Yeah.
reasons, but for another time. But my little sister actually saw the tongue ring in my mouth when I was at night for that. We were all at my dad's house that night after the 21st, and she dobbed me in.
Oh, uncool.
Um, and then by that stage, I was just over it all because everyone had found out everything that night, and I ended up telling my dad I had a tattoo as well. So
You're so
and so my
rebellious.
mom, yeah, so I got it all out of the way very early on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I want my child to be like me? I kind of
I
do.
kind
I was,
of do.
I
I
was
feel like
radical.
I wasn't
It was
bad.
good.
I definitely dodged a lot of bullets.
Oh,
So
fuck!
many bullets were
Did I dodge
dodged.
bullets? Oh,
Being in the
yeah,
right place at the right
yeah.
time, surrounded by the right people.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
definitely, like I'm not a religious person, but there was definitely somebody watching over me for a lot of the stuff because I could have ended
That
up
is
in
so
some really
true.
bad
That is
situations.
so true.
So yeah,
Um,
debatable whether or
yeah,
not I
so
want my
true,
children to
so
be like
true.
me. It's I'll have to think on that one a bit
Uh,
more.
I was gonna say one day we'll have a conversation about our terrible
Teenage years.
what do you call it teenage years. Oh, do I have stories?
Oh,
Okay, so that was my second one. And I guess so. Something that I talked to you about this morning. So something that I struggle with a little bit is getting up in the morning.
mm,
I did realize probably about 10 years ago about sleep
yeah.
cycles and how they affect how you get up in the morning. And so, I actually use two apps for this. Um, what I do is I have an app called Sleep Time. Again, I'll put it on the screen. Um, and what that does is it calculates the timing I want to get up based on when I go to bed.
Mm,
So that tells me how many cycles I can have. And you really do feel more refreshed in the morning. You may be getting up earlier than you would normally, but you feel better.
mm,
And like that's what happened to me this morning. So I got up at 6:30. Normally when I'm sleeping next to my son, it's around about 7:15, because that's when he gets up. He was a bit bummed that I got up at 6:30, to be fair. But I'm about 1,000% working on more cylinders than I normally
yeah.
am in the mornings. So first thing I work out what time it fits within the realm of when I want to go to sleep. You can also do it the opposite way. When do you want to wake up versus what time you go to sleep? And then I use a paid app called Sleep Cycle, which I think a lot of people do use. So what that does is it gives you a window of when it will wake you up. So it will determine noises and movement in the room to determine when it's best to kind of pull you out of that cycle. And honestly, it's like drinking coffee in the morning.
Mm.
Like it's so, so good in comparison. Yeah. Such a convert for it,
Nice.
100%. And I'll put those both up on the
Nice.
screen as well.
I've got two that are both baby related.
Mm.
One I actually used to track my cycle, but then you can switch to like the, you know, if you're pregnant into the pregnancy mode, I guess. And so this one I just use, and it tells me how big my baby is and how much he weighs.
Mm.
And sometimes it'll tell you like in terms of, so today my fetus is the size of an ear of a corn, which I'm not quite sure what an ear of a corn is.
Ear of a, I was going to say, is that the little bit or the big
Well,
thingy
no,
bit?
it's
Like,
got to
what
be
part of
the
the corn
biggie
is
bit
that?
because I'm big. Ain't this thing?
I was going to say, an ear of corn I would have thought was the
Yeah, I don't
kernel,
know how
but then I'm
accurate
like,
this is.
I'm pretty sure.
27.4 centimeters. An ear of a corn is not 27.4 centimeters.
Oh,
But
yeah,
the
so
other
it's
one
like
I've
that.
got
Yeah, so it's
is
like the sides.
it's called pregnancy, and then they have the next version, which is under the same creators, called baby. So one's obviously for pregnancy and one is for
Mm.
baby, and it tells it every day, it gives
Mm.
you like a little bit of information about your baby. So I actually haven't read this one today. Your little one is bigger and stronger these days, weighing in around 0.45 kgs. Don't be surprised if you can feel or maybe see a punch or a kick from your back. Yeah, I definitely feel a lot of kicks. But see, I'll give you like little snippets of like, oh, your baby
Mm.
was growing a toenail today, or what I mean, like just little bits of
Super weird.
information about your baby, and
Yeah,
it's
but I
just
like that.
it's cute. Like I have my coffee in the morning. Yes,
Yeah.
I only have the one coffee. You're allowed one coffee. You come at
Wow,
me.
you just
Need my
admitted to that.
caffeine, okay?
Yeah.
I have a child, and I just take the time and read my little thing about my baby today. But, yeah.
That's cute. I'm not. I just need to go back to the app that you talked about before. What was the name of it? Because I don't think you
Clue.
gave us the name. Oh yeah,
Clue.
I know
Yeah,
Clue.
Clue.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I
the
used to
two
have Clue
popular
for
ones is
my
Clue and
period.
Flow. Those are the two ones typically.
I got Ovia. Is
Oh,
for
I don't
my
know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Ovia has the same one as the baby and pregnancy. This is when the whole fertility thing was going on. But I also just track my periods now through it anyway. I'm not gonna lie. The ear of corn,
Yeah, it's throwing me off.
worst analogy. Like they could have picked anything else. I'm sorry, but what the hell is that? It's the worst
I
comparison.
know.
So you know what?
Very strange.
Get your act together.
Yeah, very strange.
You've got to go pick up your
I do.
kids. I've got to go pick up my kids actually. So
Okay. Alrighty.
let's do that.